Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV with your host, Kyle Ellicott. It's a fun episode today because we're going to the stars and much further beyond. We're going to be talking about investing in space and deep technologies all around. We're going to talk a little bit about launch, but not much about launch technologies, as we're going to hear from a few investors that we've already seen enough in that category. We're now talking about what comes next. How do we go from the ground to the stars and much further beyond? What technology, what opportunities are there as investors and entrepreneurs? So we're going to find out today here on VCTV. I'm joined with two great co-hosts, but before we introduce them, a big thank you to LATOKEN team and to Maria for making today's episode possible. And with that, Julio, welcome to the show. A little intro, a little background for everybody.
Happy to be here as usual. Kyle, nice to see you. Irina as well. My name is Julio Marquez, and I'm with New York Bay Capital. New York Bay Capital is a New York City based, still from our homes, but in less than a week, we're going to be back in the office full time. Isn't that exciting? Everybody vaccinated and we're ready to go back to the office. I run a fund slash advisory company. We specialize in making investments in Latin America or in emerging markets, even though we're based in New York. And we love technology. We have a fund too that makes investments in technology. And so we are here in part to share knowledge, but also in part to hopefully meet companies and entrepreneurs who are looking for investment, because that's really what we do. And we love meeting people. We love to hear from people. And so hopefully as part of this discussion, as I usually do with VCTV, we'll get emails of people who would like either advice or capital to grow and successfully launch businesses in tech and space. It's exciting, and but we're right there with it if at all possible.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Julio, and welcome back as well. And Irina, welcome. Crypto superwoman herself, who's immersed in this industry. This is all you today, along with Julio, but a little intro, a little background.
Yes, thank you so much for having me back. I just missed you guys so much. My name is Irina Litchfield. Many know me as a crypto superwoman. I am founder of Blockchain Cube. That's a blockchain consulting firm. We do everything from integration into industry to architecture design. So we kind of a white firm, super lean, and highly decentralized. So I'm also president of Lumeria. Lumeria is where capital meets innovation. It really is a IR firm, and we work with a range of companies, but specifically later stage. So pre-IPO is where my sweet spot is, but we are getting a huge influx of early stage companies. And as we talked, by the way, yesterday, the amount for seeds now is so much higher, to where it's really, really interesting how the world is really investment world is changing. I'm also a founding advisor of Ape Global Securities Exchange and senior advisor of Space Fund. And as we are speaking about space today, that is something that I'll concentrate on, because there's so much that's happening in the space. I mean, it's just, you think the crypto is running, oh my gosh, it's like not even close comparing to the space innovation that's happening right now.
I love it. Every time we talk about this particular subject, I get more excited about those opportunities that are out there. And, Irina, kind of paint the picture for us as to what the landscape looks like for space technologies. I think most would think of, SpaceX, Virgin Galactic, and a handful of other notable names in the space when they think about investing in the industry. But really, there's an entire startup ecosystem globally that's focused on it. And you and Megan Crawford, who runs the Space Fund, have spelled a lot of that out for us here on VCTV and educated me as well on it. But if you can, give our viewers kind of a state of the union. Where is space today? What does this ecosystem look like, from the ground to the stars?
Yeah, so as we're right now at this point, we are number one, extremely oversubscribed with lunch platforms. So we no longer need to invest money in any more lunch. And in fact, do we expect some serious bloodbath in the next couple years? As a lot of the companies are failing at that. So that's one thing. I'm starting with the scary things. However, what's really encouraging is that now we have a lot of kind of companies coming out and doing really, really well that provide the whole ecosystem within a space. As we are launching more satellites, we're figuring out that, for example, space debris is one of the problems. So there's a great company that just came out that they seem to have a great solution that is completely different solution for space debris awareness that is out there. So space debris is a big problem and it needs a lot of innovation. So if you are an entrepreneur and you kind of can think about that, I encourage you to think about that. Then, for example, in space fueling, 3D printing, basically anything we can do to avoid going back and forth is what we need to have done. And then now, as we're moving closer to getting to the moon, that's one of the things too that we need to think about. And so, because we need to think about, a lot of companies are basically building that. And so now, if you go to spacefund.com and scroll down, you will be able to see the categories of all the space companies that are there and space companies that are working on building solutions. And it's very exciting. One of the things too that I want to mention, and I think it's worth mentioning, because when entrepreneurs make decision about getting into a brand new industry that they're not really experts in, but they're maybe amazing innovators in other technologies and other innovations, they kind of need to think if there are opportunities for that. And so I want to encourage you to think about the space, because Space Force just only 6 months ago kind of moved toward supporting early stage innovators. When I was in North American Space Summit, Space Force General did a really great address. And, there is something that he said that really moved me quite a bit. And he said that we now live in not industrial revolution, but a technological and really informational revolution and evolution. And so we understand that we need to rethink the way we fund the companies, and in order to ensure the freedom of the world, the freedom of space, to ensure us from the attacks, damaging attacks of China and Russia as well. Not to get too political, they actually have great funds available for entrepreneurs who want to go from that concept to a proof of concept. And so I want to encourage you to reach out to Space Fund, reach out to Space Force, think and take your brilliant minds and look at the space, because that's how we unleash unlimited potential.
Absolutely. Thank you. And with that, Julio, I want to come to you and tell us about what you're seeing in the industry, to further validate Irina's point of what she's just painted for us around the ecosystem. You have a few investments you and New York Bay Capital have made on a global scale. You were telling me a little bit about pre-show. If you could, why don't you share a little bit of some of those investments and what else you're seeing in the industry has you guys has your eye on as well?
Sure. Well, we've made one investment in space, and look, I happen to have a hat here handy. This company, Space JLTZ, is our first investment in space technology. SpaceJLTZ.com, you can find what they do. It's a company in Mexico, and a few people think of Mexico and space in the same sentence. Certainly, Mexico has never been a leader in space technology. But what's happening now is, with the advances in technology, space has become accessible to a large extent to almost everybody around Earth who can afford nowhere near the cost it used to be to put up a satellite or to put up a piece of a satellite, right? Because all you really need from a satellite is the camera. Most of the time, it's about detection from space. Space is good, of course, for defense, like Irina was saying, and for exploration and scientific advances. But primarily, it's good for communications. Internet from space is now possible. Certainly, telephone, and for taking pictures, monitoring from space. And that part, thanks to technologies that can make small satellites or satellite constellations, to be precise, where you have many little satellites, tiny satellites, the size of a lunchbox, of a loaf of bread, with good cameras, but that work in tandem with each other. You can achieve great resolution in images from space at a much lower cost than it used to be, to put up a heavy, camera. And so there are so many industries that, particularly in Latin America, what does Latin America do? Well, Latin America cares about agriculture. Of course, the whole world cares about agriculture, but Latin America cares a lot about agriculture. They export much agricultural products, and agriculture, to a large extent, is an industry that requires constant supervision, constant measuring, constant spectrography. How is the harvest coming along? What color are the leaves? How is everything looking? Is everything growing in place? All of that kind of thing can now be done with satellite photography, with very good resolution, and you can almost run a real-time operation if you have the right satellites, positioned in the right place, taking pictures of the right things at the right time. Logistics companies also require that constant monitoring. Where are the trucks? Where are the ships? How are they interacting? Security. Latin America cares a lot about security too. Security around a certain perimeter. Degree of progress of construction projects, etc. I don't think I need to explain how useful it is to be able to take pictures, repeated, good, high quality, good resolution pictures of areas. So this service is now available because it can be shared among many, many companies. Somebody could launch, and Irina said that it's getting very competitive in terms of the launching of something, and I agree with that. But selling pieces of a satellite, selling pieces of cameras, so that for a few seconds they can take a picture of you, but for the next few seconds they can take picture of for another customer, another customer, another customer. The whole thing becomes rather affordable. And so Space JLTC in Mexico is the leader in selling those services, right? Acquiring pieces of the satellite constellations and then getting all of the customers lined up in Latin America, who pay good money for a constant stream of photographs, and also for the analytics that comes with them, because obviously a photograph is just it's just pixels. But if you have the right programs, you can do the analytics, and then you can do a value-added service of not just selling images, but really, selling analytical services. So that seduced us, and even though we're not space people, nor do we have any aerospace engineers on our staff, we thought it was a pretty straightforward business plan, and we're enthusiastically, especially when we see the clients embrace this. We're enthusiastic supporters, and we think that this types of services, have a great future. I don't know about other types of things that can happen in space. All we know is it's an exciting new frontier, and when you have smart people looking at something, they're probably going to figure things out. I can tell you that I'm a member of the Harvard Business School Angels, and I'm also a member of the MIT Angels of New York. And 2 years ago, we were not seeing any companies in space coming down the road. We have a monthly meetings for both clubs, where 5 to 10 companies come pitch, and 0 were space related until about 2 years ago. But then we've started looking at an steady increase in the number of entrepreneurs that have space as their area of action. And so we think there's just going to be more and more, and we're very open to listening to new ideas and evaluating whether we can help fund them.
Absolutely. Irina, anything to add? But also, where are you seeing these opportunities as well? I mean, you painted a few in the big ecosystem picture in the beginning, but where are you really targeting? I know yesterday we talked about, early stages, you mentioned being a little bit higher and looking beyond launch companies. But in reality, if I'm an investor looking to get into this industry, where are the exciting areas that I should be paying attention to maybe, invest alongside yourself or Space Fund or some of the other investors in the area?
Yeah, so that's really great point. So imaging is really important, and really distribution of imaging. So interestingly, so we have amazing technology, right? So in last year and a half, we've made amazing discoveries thanks to that technology. 2 technologies: imaging from in space. So we've been able to identify like hundreds and thousands of pyramids actually that are hidden under the topsoil and stuff, right? Like, so just covered by tapestry. And of course, then, AI, but we are not talking about AI. But what's happening is that for the most part, the images that are taken, they just get destroyed in space, right? Because there is not a customer to actually pay for that imaging, and it takes time and it's expensive to actually transfer the imaging. So that's why I am really interested in what you're saying, Julio, because your company, your portfolio company, is actually working on a distribution. And so those type of services are really, really important, right? Because while we are building technology for in space, for whether it's for the satellites, for satellite servicing, what we really need to figure out is how do we get that information down here inexpensive, and mostly how do we show to people that there are benefits for it. Farming is really great, important point, but again, it's not really available to people. So we do need more people coming in and kind of building that distribution for needs for imaging. Because for the most part, majority of images are just being destroyed. What really interests me, and that's one of the companies that is doing a really great job. So which one is that? Let's see. It's the laser communications, and that really, Noble really likes that too. He always talks about it. But there are several companies that are doing that. And then of course, one of the things that we're seeing that's happening a lot is the alternative growing methods. So how do we actually, grow food in space? Because once we get to space, we need to do something there. And what's awesome is that now we're starting to see several companies building kind of solutions for, okay, so we have all the rockets, we have all these launch companies that will take us to space. But like, what do you do there, right? And so basically something like hotels in space is really, really interesting to me. But when you're doing the hotel in space, right, you're going to build your station, right? And then in that station, you need to make sure that all the services inside of there are there. And so you need different companies to coming in and building those solutions.
I love it. I mean, this is just very exciting. You've talked about the bringing information back down as well, even around payments. And we've talked about a financial system in space as well, and how that may work. I know Megan's talked about, again, Megan Crawford, founder of Space Fund.
Oh, I have great news about that too. I've been talking about it for over a year, that we need that in-space payment layer, and we'll finally have the company for that. It's finally happening. And what's awesome is that it's happening. It's crypto, it's completely independent, and it really supports Bitcoin even further. So it allows us to put It's amazing. So 2 years of begging the world of, please, somebody do the payment system for in space. It's there. I mean, me and Megan been just like dancing. We had a family gathering this weekend, and basically that's all we could talk about, is that it's there now, because it is a big solution. It's something that we needed, and it's so amazing to know that it's there. So the payments in space settlement layer is checked in, and what's amazing about it, and that's what I really love, guys, about space, is that it allows us to really create a new model. And this company that's building it, it is a model that allows others to come in and do it. And so it's not how do you say it, the take over the world and take over all the payments thing. It really is just making it fraction of the cost, because it's kind of a way to empower. The idea is to build finance in space, and for fraction of cost what it is, and then maybe on Earth we can model it, but if not, at least we can use it there. And again, that transfer of payments back and forth just doesn't work, right? And so that solution is being built, and it's being built by experts, by top experts in the crypto industry, and with, most importantly, with the best integrity. I cannot disclose the name yet. It will be known in like 2 months. After Satoshi Roundtable, you'll hear the announcements. Yes.
60 days, ladies and gentlemen. 60 days. We got to wait 60 days, but we're going to.
Can I get it in 58 days?
Well,
I mean, I'm your friend.
Well, yes, you also
just 48 hours before everyone else.
You also remember, I've been working on Lumeria, and we've been in the stealth mode, preparing everything. So we are getting ready to deploy and kind of go out. So all of the partners, and New York Bay Capital is a partner with Lumeria. So the distribution of those deals will be available way before it's publicly announced. So yes.
Any of your viewers should now send me an email, and I promise, if I get 48 hours head start, you will get it in 47 hours.
There you go.
There you go. So everyone, you now have more reason to connect with Julio and Irina as well afterwards. But I want to come to both of you on advice. So Julio, I know you're just getting into this industry around space, but the bigger, broader picture of deep technologies, I know you've been a part of. What advice do you have in your closing thoughts today for entrepreneurs and investors out there? And then, of course, where can they find you to connect so they might be able to get a little bit of that head start on the news that Irina will share with you just soon?
Well, both questions are related, because entrepreneurs should realize that it's all about the network. It's all about getting people to know you. It's all about connecting, and it's all about insisting that those connections help. It's hard enough sometimes to get somebody to link with you on LinkedIn, but if you don't keep the relationship going, if you don't send messages and try to get a dialogue going, whether it's electronic or live like this, the network tends to deteriorate. Or just kind of die off, a natural death out of inattention. So entrepreneurs, please build your networks. It takes time, but it's definitely a people intensive type of situation to be able to get capital, to be able to get partners, to be able to get joint venture partners and ideas. It's all about cultivating that network, expanding it, and making it work for you. I think that's my best advice. I've seen that by far the most successful entrepreneurs have the biggest networks, and they are constantly working them. And today it's so much easier because we can all be connected electronically through platforms without having to get on planes and visit people and or pay expensive hotels for conferences. So great time to be an entrepreneur, because it's a great time to network. Now to put my I guess my money where my mouth is. It's easy to network with me. You can certainly find us through our website, nybaycapital.com. You can find me on LinkedIn at Julio A. Marquez, and I stress the A, which is my middle name, or my middle initial, because there are several Julio Marquezes in the world. But Julio A. Marquez, especially when you say Julio A. Marquez, New York, or New York Bay Capital, easy to find me, and I'm always open to dialogue, because I also believe in networking for myself, even though many investors tend to shy away. It's almost the other side of the coin. The people with the money tend to be very difficult to reach, and they tend not to want too much network. But in my case, happy to talk, especially if you have something interesting to say. And interesting to us means new ideas, well thought out, innovative plans. If you come to the table with something like that, that's well thought out, where you've already taken into consideration that the possible competition. And a small parenthesis here: the one thing entrepreneurs sometimes forget in all of the presentations is that it's a competitive world, and many people assume in the presentations that they have a great idea and that it's just going to work because it's so new and valuable. The reality is that there are probably other people working on that as well, and you have to be always on the lookout for the competition. A good competitive analysis, takes you very far away in the fundraising. So that's it. That's my answer.
Thank you very much, Julio. Irina, to you, same question. Advice for those looking to get into the industry of space as we know it, whether it be on the ground to the stars and beyond, and then also where they can find you to connect further.
Yeah, my advice for those that really want to get into the space is be brave. Don't be scared, and know that there's a lot of opportunities available for you. And reach out to the experts. There are two spaces. There's the old space, which is what we know how things used to be done by NASA. And then there's a new space. And the new space is very fast, dynamic industry, and it's growing faster and faster. And the biggest bottleneck of the new space is the lack of experts from a traditional world coming in and bringing solutions for ever-growing space opportunities. So reach out. Just when you do, make sure that you make a reference. And as Julio said, check out the competitors. Do not build another rocket that burns on fuel. Now, if you have an alternative traveling methods and you are there to break the laws of physics, this is the place for you to be. Reach out and see. We've invented a lot of things that were, we used to think that whatever. I'm not gonna say. I'm like, oh my God, is it politically okay? But anyway, think outside of box. Okay, and look at the opportunities. If you want to get into the space industry, go to spacefund.com. They put together amazing resources for you so you can actually see where those competitive advantages are for you, because it will click with you. Go on LinkedIn, see who is the expert. And as the world is reopening, go to space conferences and talk to experts, because the world is reopening. It's becoming harder and harder to get hold of virtually, and they're all getting back on the road. And as we are traveling on the road, we don't really have that much bandwidth to connect with you virtually unless you have something something that you really, 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 really need to get off your head. So be brave and do it. We need you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Great ending there today, Irina and Julio. Thank you both again very much. To our audience, thank you for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, like, and share today's episode. Check out the archive on LATOKEN.com to hear from today's speakers and all speakers of the VCTVA family. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. We would all love to hear from you, as each have mentioned. So please reach out to Julio, Irina, and or myself. When you do, please add context where you heard us, where you met us, what you would like to continue the conversation about. With that, everyone have a wonderful day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for more VCTV. Enjoy this journey to the stars and beyond. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.